The machines are beeping slower now. I have minutes left. My 3 sons are standing around this bed. None of them know they're not mine. My name is Richard Peterson. I'm 68 years old. I've been a father for 42 years, or at least, I thought I was. I changed diapers at 3 in the morning. I taught them how to ride bikes. I sat in the audience at school recitals. I paid for 3 complete college educations. Michael is a lawyer. Daniel works in finance. Carlos saves lives as a doctor. Successful men I raised with pride. But 6 months ago, a routine medical exam revealed a truth my wife hid for 4 decades. Sarah died 2 years ago. Pancreatic cancer. She took the secret to her grave. Or almost. Because I found her diaries. I read every word. I saw the dates, the names, the confessions. I did the DNA tests in secret. And now, as my heart fails, as my sons hold my hands, I need to decide, do I take this secret with me? Or do I destroy 3 lives with the truth? Before I tell you what I discovered, pause now and write in the comments where you're watching this story from. What country? What city? Because what I'm about to reveal in the next few minutes will make you question everything you know about family, loyalty, and betrayal. This is a true story, a deathbed confession, and it will touch you deeply. Brace yourself. Let me take you back to where it all began. 43 years ago, company Christmas party. Sarah was 24, worked in accounting, bright green eyes, a smile that lit up the room. I was 26, junior manager, ambitious, hard-working, the kind of man her parents would approve of. We fell in love fast, too fast maybe. 6 months later, we were engaged. A year later, married. 2 years later, our first son was born. Michael came first. Difficult delivery, but when I held that baby for the first time, I cried. I cried like I'd never cried in my life. I was a father. I had a son. 3 years later, Daniel, another boy. Sarah said she wanted to try one more time for a girl. Carlos was born 2 years after Daniel, 3rd boy. Sarah said our family was complete. I worked a lot, 60, 70 hours a week, building my career, providing, giving them the life I never had. Sarah took care of everything at home, decisions about school, friends, activities. She was a dedicated mother. Maybe too dedicated, I sometimes thought. Overprotective. But I trusted her completely. The boys grew up, good students, athletes, popular, everything a father could want. I always thought it was strange how none of them looked like me. I'm tall, 6'3", black hair, dark brown eyes. All 3 boys are average height, light brown hair, green eyes. Everyone said they take after their mother. And I'd laugh, of course they did. Sarah was beautiful. 41 years of marriage, good years, not perfect, but good. When Sarah was diagnosed with pancreatic cancer, it was like the ground opened beneath my feet. 3 months. That's all we had. I held her hand until the end. I whispered that I loved her. She whispered back. Her last words were, "Take care of our boys." I promised. Of course I promised. 2 years passed. The pain diminished. Life went on. And then the medical exam. 6 months ago, I started having chest pains, extreme fatigue. My sons insisted I go to the doctor. Complete exams, blood, heart, genetics. They wanted to check predisposition for heart disease. The cardiologist called me personally into his office. When a doctor does that, you know it's not good news. I sat in the cold leather chair. He had papers spread across the desk, charts, numbers. "Mr. Peterson," he began, "I need to ask you something unusual. Are you sure your children are biologically yours?" I laughed in his face. What a ridiculous question. Of course they're mine. I was there when they were born. I watched Sarah give birth to each one. He didn't laugh. He pushed the papers toward me. "Your genetic markers indicate it's impossible for you to have fathered children. There's a specific anomaly in your DNA that causes complete infertility. You could never have had biological children." The office started spinning. "This is an error," I said. "Labs make mistakes." "We reran the tests 3 times, he replied softly. "Same result." I left that office in shock. I drove home on autopilot. I sat in the empty living room and stared at the photos on the wall. 40 years of family photos. I started seeing things I'd ignored my entire life. Michael at 5 years old, holding James's hand, my best friend, both with the same green eyes, the same crooked smile. Daniel at 10, playing soccer, the same athletic posture as James. And Carlos graduating from medical school, the same expression of concentration James always had. James, my best friend since college, Michael's godfather, present at every important family event, vacation trips together, Christmases, birthdays. James, who died 5 years ago from a heart attack. James, who never married. James, who always said my sons were like the sons he never had. Because they were his sons. I felt nauseous. But I still wasn't sure. I needed proof. I did something I'll never forgive myself for. I collected DNA from my sons without permission, hair from their brushes. I sent them to a private lab along with my own sample. Paternity test, I told the clerk. 3 sons. 3 weeks later, the envelopes arrived. I opened them alone in the kitchen on a Tuesday morning. My hands were shaking so badly I could barely tear the paper. The first envelope, Michael. I opened it slowly. Probability of paternity, 0%. My heart stopped. Second envelope, Daniel. Probability of paternity, 0%. Third envelope, Carlos. Probability of paternity, 0%. If this story is impacting you, if you're feeling the weight of what I'm living through, subscribe to the channel now, because what I'm about to tell you next is even worse. I had one last sample, DNA that James's son gave me years ago, thinking I wanted a memento of my old friend. I had it tested against my 3 sons' DNA. The result came back a week later. Let me tell you what I discovered. 99.9% match. All 3 of them. James was the biological father of Michael, Daniel, and Carlos. My best friend, the man who stood beside me at my wedding, who held my first son before even the grandparents did, who went on every family trip. He knew. He always knew. And Sarah knew from the beginning. I spent the following days in a state I can't describe. It wasn't anger. It wasn't sadness. It was emptiness. I looked at my hands and thought, these hands that taught my sons to tie their shoes, to play ball, to drive, were the hands of a fool who raised another man's children, while that man laughed at me. But I needed to be absolutely sure. I needed to understand. I went to the attic. I broke the lock on Sarah's old box, the one she never let me open. And they're just childhood memories, she'd say, personal things. Inside were diaries, decades of diaries. I started reading. The first mention of James was from 6 months before our wedding. Saw James today at the coffee shop. That spark is still there, but I can't. I chose Richard. He'll be a good husband, a good provider. James is wild. I can't build a life with him. My stomach turned, but I kept reading. 1 month before our wedding. Slept with James yesterday. Last time, I promised. Last time. The wedding is in a month. I need to stop. I need to. 2 months after the wedding, I couldn't stop. I see James every week. Richard works so much he doesn't notice anything. 5 months after the wedding. I'm pregnant. I did the math. The baby is James's, I'm sure. Richard and I have barely touched each other since the honeymoon. He's obsessed with his promotion. What do I do? What do I do? My hands trembled holding the diary. I've decided. I'm having the baby. Richard will think it's his. James agreed to keep his distance, but... And here my world completely collapsed. But James wants to be part of the baby's life. We'll say he's the godfather. That way he can be close without suspicion. Tears started falling on the yellowed pages. I kept reading, years of entries. Michael was born, then Daniel, then Carlos. Each one of them James's child. An entry from 15 years ago destroyed me completely. James asked me to leave Richard and marry him today. Said he can't stand being the uncle anymore. Wants to be a real father. I cried so much, but I said no. Richard is too good. The boys love him. He would give his life for them, for us. How can I destroy that? How can I take their father away? Their father? She called James their father. But who changed the diapers? Who woke up in the middle of the night? Who paid the bills? Who taught values, discipline, love? Me. The last entry about this was from 10 years ago. James died today, heart attack, 52 years old. Richard is devastated. He lost his best friend. The boys are crying. They lost their favorite uncle. Only I know the truth. Only I know they lost their biological father, and I'm taking this secret to my grave. It has to be this way, for Richard, for the boys, for all of us. But she didn't take it to the grave, because she left the diaries. Intentionally, accidentally? I'll never know. The chest pains that took me to the doctor weren't just anxiety. It was cancer, stage 4, lungs, liver, bones. 6 months to live, they said. That was 5 months ago. I've spent these months watching my sons differently. I see James in each of them now, like I never saw before. Michael has his confident way of speaking. Daniel has the analytical, ruthless mind. Carlos has the genuine compassion. They're good men, incredible men, but they're not mine, not biologically. I tried writing letters, 17 attempts, all in the trash. How do you say this? Hi, son, you're not my son. Hi, your mother, who you idolized, was a serial liar. Hi, Uncle James, who you loved so much. He was actually your real father. Some days I think, I'll take this with me. Let them live in happy illusion. Sarah is dead. James is dead. What's the purpose of opening this wound? Other days I think, they have a right to know. It's their identity. It's their DNA. They have a right to real medical history, to know where they came from. But also, there's a dark part of me. A part that's angry. Angry at Sarah for betraying me for 40 years. Angry at James for laughing in my face at every Christmas, every barbecue, every trip. And that dark part wants them to know. Wants to destroy the perfect memory they have of their mother. Wants them to feel the same betrayal I feel. Does that make me a bad person? Probably. But I'm dying, and when you're dying, the masks fall off. So today, I asked all 3 to come to the hospital. Just me and you, I said. I need to tell you something important. They're here now. Michael is holding my left hand. Daniel is at the foot of the bed. Carlos is on the right side, still in his white coat from the hospital where he works. My sons. No, James's sons. No, my sons, because I raised them, I shaped them. DNA doesn't make a father, presence does. But they deserve to know the truth. Boys, I whisper. They lean in closer. There's something I need to tell you about your mother, about Uncle James. I see confusion on their faces. The exams they did on me revealed something your mother hid her entire life. Michael's hand squeezes mine tighter. Dad, what are you talking about? None of you are my biological sons. You're James's children. Your mother and he had a relationship that lasted decades. I have the tests. I have her diaries. It's all true. The silence is deafening. Michael drops my hand like it's burning. Daniel takes a step back, his face white. Carlos covers his mouth with his hands. No, Daniel whispers. No, this isn't. Mom would never. I'm so sorry, I managed to say. I'm so sorry. But you're still my sons. You always will be. The machines start beeping faster. Or is it slower? I can't tell anymore. The darkness is coming. I hope I did the right thing. The question that won't go away. Would you tell the truth in his place, or would you take it to the grave? There's no right answer, only choices and consequences. Subscribe to the channel for more real deathbed confessions that people took to their final moments. True stories, no filters, no judgment. Next week, an inheritance that destroyed an entire family. Some truths set you free, others destroy you. Until the next confession. If this story touched you, leave your reaction in the comments.